So this video here is talking about what we don't hear as much about: how water has been weaponized in Ukraine. And so this has to do with the war that has gone on between Russia and Ukraine. And you can see the local people that are living here, how water has been weaponized in the Ukraine. Local people fill up bottles with fresh drinking water. And now I may not pronounce all of the names of the places um, like I should, but let me see if you can see what I'm seeing. You see the bottles of water and how the people are trying to scramble to preserve it. And there's several still photos of the scramble of an essential basic need that humans can do without. You can't live without fresh, clean drinking water. And so it's easy when people see something happening somewhere else to say, oh, we feel so bad, we feel sorry what's going on in these countries. But notice how we lie in wait for what's to come. And you don't hear very much talk about what's happening. So Russia tells people in occupied Kherson to save your lives and leave. There's other articles about what's going on over there. So it is not over. So you see the people trying to preserve fresh drinking water. So this is by Jonathan Landay. And so by Jonathan Landay out of Reuters. So Mykolaiv, Ukraine. Okay, so I may not have pronounced the first name of it right, but I know the Ukraine is still going through a lot. So Sveta has no doubt about why the Ukraine held southern city of Mykolaiv, a shipbuilding center that is home to 500,000 people, has gone without fresh drinking water for the past 6 months. So they, as in the Russians, are committing genocide against us, she growled as she waited this week with dozens of others to fill containers with water from tanks hauled to the downtown thoroughfare abroad an electric tramway repair car. Okay, so the shut off is bitter affirmation from Sveta and some 220,000 other residents who remain in the oft-shelled city that Russian President Vladimir Putin, the war that is going on in Ukraine extends beyond the battlefield to civilians' infrastructure. So it is affecting the people that live still close to where all of this is going on. The Kremlin has dramatically intensified strikes on energy facilities with pre-winter missile and drone onslaughts over the past 2 weeks. So in what Putin has called legitimate retaliation for an attack on Russia's bridge to Crimea, the attacks have disrupted electricity across large parts of Ukraine, killing dozens of people and leaving others places without access of clean water. And so this is what is happening. But Mykolaiev's water problem, uh, or Mykolaiev's water problems, have gone on much longer than that. So the Russians, Ukrainian officials say, closed the city's fresh drinking water and intakes in the adjacent Kherson province. after they overran the region as part of what Putin calls a special military operation. So we don't know whether this was an intentional explosion or an accidental ammunition strike. Municipal Water Chief Boris Denko told Reuters. Okay, so he said he believed the Russians shut the intakes to average Ukraine's closure on freshwater supplies to Crimea in 2014. So the Kremlin and the Russian Defense Ministry did not immediately respond for the request of comment. So the way we live, it goes into everyday Mykolaiv residents lug plastic containers by hand in carts with water distribution points across the city that sits at the sweeping confluence of Dnipro and southern Bull rivers. So this is the way we live, lamented your slave 78 retiree who worked at the Chernomorsk uh, shipbuilding yard as he queued behind Sveta. We live through one day and there is no joy, and then there is the next day. So Peter Gleck, senior fellow of the Pacific Institute, a California think tank that documents the impact of the conflicts on water resources worldwide, said Russia has weaponized water since launching its full scale invasion in February. So, Ukraine's water infrastructure, from dam to water treatment and wastewater systems, has been extensively targeted by Russia. So, Gleck wrote in an email international law, he noted, makes striking civilian infrastructure a war crime. Okay. So, in just the first 3 months of the war, Gleck said he and his colleagues documented more than 60 instances of which Ukraine's civilian water supplies were disrupted and dams for both water and hydroelectric power uh, attacked. Okay, so Russia has acknowledged targeting power plants while also saying it makes every effort to spare the civilian population, but the United Nations has confirmed more than 14,000 civilian deaths and says actual numbers are likely considerably much higher, of course. Ukraine, according to the Pacific Institute database, has officially also used water as a weapon, cutting supplies off to Crimea after Russia seized the peninsula in 2014. So all this was going on right under the noses of people without people noticing that these things were leading up to this. So while Kiev had no legal obligation to maintain the supply, it could be argued that it would have been a humanitarian thing to do, Gleck said. So Ukrainian troops released water from the Dnipro River dam to slow Russia's failed assault on Kiev in February, according to the database. So residents in the eastern city of Donetsk, captured by Moscow-backed separatists in 2014, have also suffered water shortages. And so the Russian installed government there did not immediately respond for the request for the details of this situation. So Denko said Amalklav's water crisis was the worst. So others have problems of a local nature and are able to solve them, Denko told Reuters. So we are the only ones with such a colossal disaster. So after nearly a month without water, city officials were forced to begin pumping yellowish salty water with from the southern river estuaries to clear sewers and let residents flush toilets and wash again. So think of how just water alone impacts a whole city or a whole, maybe a whole state or a whole country. And if someone cuts that off because they're angry or they want control of something, how that can destroy a lot of people in so many ways. So it emits a pungent industrial odor, foams in toilets, and makes soap hard to lather and rinse. So this is what people are using. And worst of all, it is corroding holes in the city's pipes. So these people are bathing, drinking, washing, and things that could probably, if they corrode pipes, what could they do to a human that has to consume it or use it? So that is a question. So it's a catastrophe. Eventually, Denko said, the whole system will have to be replaced at a huge cost that Molkov cannot meet, with factories idled and revenues from the dwindling population also down. And so this is really sad that this is happening. So this is what the people are enduring right as of now. So it's a catastrophe, he said, accusing the Russians of refusing requests for a ceasefire so that the freshwater intakes could be inspected and any repairs be made. And so bottles of water are available in stores, but many residents impoverished by war depend on bottled water donations from abroad instead. So this is what's going on as of now, and some people might be keeping track of this while others may not really be paying close attention how this could affect other countries, how this could affect us, and in the future or the near future, we don't know where this would lead. Because when you see others suffering and nobody says anything, there's nobody really advocating, then how could this spread to other places? It could if it's war. So the people that are impoverished, they say they depend on this bottled water, the donation water. So even as pools of water snake onto streets from leaking mains. Okay, so this is the fifth leakage of 3 days. So let's like Lee Moshchuk, 45 repair crew, 4 men standing by a hole dug for his mud smear men to fix the pipe in a Moklov suburb. So Danko said that he has no choice but to keep his crews patching leaks as long as possible because the salt water is untreatable. So, our task today is to preserve all of this and last through the winter so it can last that long. He said it will not be easy and there will be more problems as well. And so, just looking at this, I'm reading this article, and so just looking at this, and this is just a little bit. This, mind you, there's probably a lot more that an article couldn't cover that's going on over there. So this just gives you a clue as to how bad this thing is. And so, reporting by Jonathan Landay, additional report by Kevin Liffey, and also, I believe there is another person that was on this article, um, Tom Balmaforth, editing Philippa Fletcher. And so, just your natural resources that people can weaponize and use against you as well. The point of this is this can happen anywhere, not just between the Russians and the Ukrainians. And it has started. It's already started, and people don't realize it. Anytime water used to be free and, it was plentiful, and now they put a price on it. And now you have people that are controlling whether you get to drink fresh water or not. And if it can happen in these countries, what other countries could it happen to? And if they can control water to that extreme, what could they put in the water to make people sick, you know? And so if they can control it in that fashion, look what happened in Flint, you know? Look what happened in many of the countries that are flooded out and their water is not good to drink, and maybe they have to wait and they have to get bottled water donations. Look at some of the other situations, and the natural resources, the elements like water, even having shaded areas, so that you're not overheated, having, you know, fresh air, you know, all these things that we thought were something that you don't have to have a price on is now being priced, you know. In order to have fresh air in your homes and everything, you got to pay for the air conditioning someplace just to get fresh air. And, just to get fresh, clean drinking water. Hopefully you're thinking that this water is even fresher the more money you pay. There's a price on it now. And now just to have, running water, just it going down the list. And now when you look at this, it makes you say, how can this reach us? How can this happen to us? And it already, I believe, has happened, and people don't even realize it. They don't know that water is just simple things such as water can be used against us, and we can take water from people. We can poison the water and make it unsafe and undrinkable. We can cut off water where it runs so that only certain people can get it, access to it. And so anytime we have a situation where even water is now at an all-time shortage, and I stress this as I go into the next situation here, um, that we should take these things so serious right now. It is not even, you know, something to say, oh, we don't need to worry about that. That's not going to happen to us. Well, you know, there's other ways that we could end up learning the hard way that some of the things that we thought were readily available is not as readily available to us when you have people controlling it like this, and calling the shots and telling you that you can't drink this water, only this group can drink this water. So this is where we're at, and so this is pretty serious. And so, do you think that they would respond, Russia? I don't think so. I don't think that they're going to answer questions as to why they're doing what they're doing. And this is going to expand. When people see with people with this mentality of controlling things and taking over and conquering other folks, it's not going to stop there. It's just going to continue, and it's going to evolve, and it's going to get worse.